This is a question specifically for Siri Agrell. So you did mention that you have worked for our conservative mayor, Demkiw. And you'll recall in 2017 that you were part of his office on trying to bring policing back into the Pride party. We know now that we're appointing a new chief of police, Myron, someone who has a history of human rights abuses against members of their community.
Yes.
And what I want to know, are you able to differentiate yourself from John Tory, who sits on the Toronto Police Services Board, who is part of this appointment process, and actively denounce Myron's appointment as the chief of police?
Yes.
And moreover, how will you ameliorate that with your history of trying to put policing back in Pride?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you for asking a question. It's a really serious allegation. I'm glad to have the opportunity to address it. She's referring to some stories about when I worked
FOI documents, not stories.
Yeah, stories and posts on. You let me finish. I'd love to speak to it. It's important. I worked in the mayor's office. When you're in the mayor's office, you have files, policy files. And one of my files in 2017 was to be the liaison with the head of Pride Toronto. This was at the time when the police had been rightly asked not to participate in Pride. And my job, as is the job of political staff, is to meet with stakeholders and find out what they're doing and report that to the mayor because he gets asked about a lot of things. So there are documents showing, there's a Toronto Star showing that I got an email from Elizabeth Newma, who is the head of the executive director of Pride at the time, telling me what she was doing. She was leading that. Pride Toronto, as they should, was leading that process and those conversations in consultation with the LGBT community. I was not involved in those discussions. I did not direct those discussions, nor would I ever. I was not present at those meetings. My entire job was to talk to Olivia, and she told me what was happening, and I told the mayor. When you work in a political office, all of those things are FOIable. They're on the record. The only documents that were found are me emailing the mayor and the staff saying, this is what's happening with Pride, this is what they're doing. The offer to re-enter Pride that came from Pride executive to the police came after I left the mayor's office. The decision, rightly made by Pride and their board to not accept that and not allow police into Pride came after I left the following year. I would never have directed that. You can read the stories yourself, you can read the quotes, and you can see that all I was doing was relaying the information from the person who was leading those discussions to the mayor of Toronto, who gets asked about all those things and needs to be kept up to date. That is what it is. So,
what about Myron Demkiw?
On the Myron thing, yeah, and honestly, I've answered this question a lot. I'm happy to keep answering it over and over again. I'm not running to be beholden to anybody because I worked for him and I worked for him for 3 years. I went in there to try and get him to do the right thing. I went in there to push him. I did not go in there because I'm a member of a political party, because I interned on his campaign. He asked me to go in there because I'm good and I worked really hard to get him to do the right thing. I will not be voting with any party. I'm not part of the NDP. I'm not going in there because the mayor asked me to or my dad told me to or anything like that. I'm going in there to represent the people of this ward and do what's right and to push. So no, I'm
in this ward. There are queer people in this ward.
Absolutely, yeah.
Are you going to denounce the chief of police?
Has he been named the chief of police?
He's been the chief designate, and he will become chief of police on December 19th.
Okay.
The other mayoral candidate asked for a pause on the appointment. I'm speaking out of turn, I apologize, but I moved to Toronto in 6 weeks after I moved in 2000. My introduction to policing in the city was the bathhouse raids. And I hear a lot of conversation right now about safety, and as a cyclist, I am on board with all of you. I'm curious how many people right now have somebody who thought so little of us. Let's just do #MeToo in Hockey Canada, smash that together and give it a badge. It's a very, I have 2 emails that were posted on Thomas Hooper, who is a queer historian, and the way you were telling your story, you aren't an impartial party to it. You even said, like, it's,
everybody can read the stories, and I'll, if there needs to be a pause in his appointment, absolutely.
Would you call for that actively right now?
Yeah, sure. If there is the biggest problem, right, with the police is trust, right? The lack of trust in the historical wrongdoing of the police against many marginalized communities, right? Absolutely. That's what we're trying to address. And if there needs to be a pause, well, that is addressed. And while these issues are discussed, and absolutely.
Will you say right now, I will call, I will ask for him, I don't wanna hear historical, I want you to say with your words, I will not support him as our chief of police, because I do not believe that queer women should function in a city with a sexual predator as chief of police, where he would have been historically violated. And I speak to you as the child of a chief of police who also, like this current chief of police, was given a Medal of Merit.
Absolutely, I believe that the chief of police, whoever the chief of police is gonna be, needs
No,
to have
you're
to
not
ask for
answering
time.
my question.
So yeah, I'm saying yeah.
Wait, no, say it, say the full sentence.
No. It's not funny. No. It's not funny. I'm just say it to me again.
This is not difficult.
Did you want to hear the sentences?
I want her to say that she will not accept him as our chief of police. And don't yes or no. Say
I will not support him as the chief of police
And I will
if he does
absolutely
not have the support of the community. Absolutely.
So he doesn't.
Okay.
So you do not support it. You put a hold
Answer.
on to that.
Gentlemen, the brochure,